I've done many cool things this year. Big videos, entire mods, the third thing, but that's dumb and bad because there's truly only one thing I excel at: making mistakes. Welcome to the worst of KazooCat 2025. What if old Minecraft mobs were created today? Really ponder that. Instead, when breeding two chickens, one of them goes to find a compatible dirt block like grass, coarse dirt, mycelium, etc. to lay their eggs. When redesigning the chicken, I made it so you can only get eggs by breeding them and having them laid in a nest, but that egg can still be used to either hatch or eat as food. Didn't really think about the implication of that, but I mean that's just kinda how normal Minecraft is currently, though if the chicken was added in modern Minecraft, they would definitely think about the ethics of eating fertilized eggs, so I probably should have made it so the chicken still can lay unfertilized eggs just passively that you can eat, and then specify fertilized eggs in the nest that will hatch. So we're going for smaller but still pretty big. The spider only has 6 legs. And I knew this, obviously. I didn't miss the fact that this didn't look like a spider. But yeah, I probably should have just gone for 8 legs. I tried it in a lot of different ways and it just didn't look good with the small body plan I had for the spider. But like, the whole point of this is that modern Minecraft mobs are accurate to their real life animals. So yeah, I should have just done this. Spiders won't be hostile anymore. Spiders are dangerous in real life, especially in Australia. Look, I should have made them hurt you in some way. My only excuse is that I was kind of overcompensating for the fact that in normal Minecraft, spiders are basically just hostile mobs, but technically neutral because they don't attack you during the day. But yeah, I probably should have made it more like bees, where attacking them would make them attack you back, and that destroying their webs would make them aggressive, stuff like that. As for the Australia thing, that was weird. Like, most comments mentioned that spiders are deadly in Australia, and it's like, come on, everything is deadly in Australia. You really want me to account for that? And I think modern Minecraft design only makes sense with these old mobs as a baseline. Last mistake was that I didn't make the mod actually available to download, and that's because it isn't a mod. It wasn't ever meant to be functional. It was just a bunch of models and textures, but I could have made those available for download at least. And I am, actually. I put them free on my Patreon because that's like the only way I could upload the files, so you could go there and download them now. Whoa, better late than never. But you'll probably find out if you download them. The models are not very compatible with most things. It was not well put together. That was the biggest video this year with probably the most egregious mistakes. Ain't that how it always be? How could the Viktor rework be salvaged? Honestly, no real big mistake here. It was kind of entirely just for me, practically just a limit test of how many people would watch something they have no interest in just because I made it, because the video certainly didn't reach people who are actually interested in League of Legends. But hey, you gotta have some of those for fun videos that you're only doing for yourself, knowing full well they won't be that popular. In fact, that's what I'm working on for the next video. The names of FNAF characters are weird, and that certainly isn't helped by the complete lack of visual design consistency between games. So the original 4 animatronics are not actually the same as the withered animatronics. I'll fully admit I was wrong with that, now that the FNAF 2 movie has basically spelled that out plainly. But honestly, it's kind of worse. I wasn't like making fun of the fact that the design changed. I'd rather that it be a slight redesign of the animatronics instead of them being separate characters, because you cannot convince me that when FNAF 2 was made, it wasn't the intention for them to be the same. Like, I guarantee that it was just when trying to break down the FNAF 1 animatronics, they didn't look that scary, so some design elements were tweaked. But now Scott Cawthon, I guess, has become so attached to the idea of every detail needing to be intentional that these slight redesigns have become entirely separate characters. I just don't really like it, but I'll admit I was wrong with believing they were the same. But it's FNAF. You're always wrong. The music of Undertale AUs. This one is again just another one that I mainly made for myself, entirely self-indulgent, and wasn't meant to be comprehensive or accurate, so I can't really say there were any mistakes, though I suppose my only mistake was not making it clearer that this was mainly about my past with Undertale AUs, or, you know, I should have at least mentioned some of the obviously big AUs, even if I didn't have a past with them, like Disbelief Papyrus or Glitch Tale, Underverse, etc. There's a whole side to AUs I just never saw in my youth, and I should have at least made a passing mention of them. Fixing Genshin's outdated characters. Besides the fact that this is a Genshin video, there's nothing here I think was wrong either. I mean, Genshin just recently started actually updating some of the exact characters I point out in this video. Not in a very interesting way, mind you, I vastly prefer my concepts for them, but they're still getting updated. I made a Deltarune Mod. That's why this video, in general, is going to be a lot lower effort, because this was just meant to be— I left a typo in the first dialogue of the fight in the final version. Somehow, throughout all of development, I never noticed it was wrong. Nobody who ever tested it noticed it was wrong either. God, I can't go back and change it now. Well, I could, I just have decided that I'm not going to touch the mod after I released it, but God, that's just gonna permanently be there. We could just say it's the extra flavor that makes it truly accurate to Deltarune, which, by the way, has a typo in the very first prophecy cutscene, so, and we're just being realistic. I had to make sure that beating Ram flips all the same flags that beating the mantle does. It was also evidently a mistake to get so used to calling the shadow mantle holder just the mantle. I got that from the code. Everything in the code refers to it as the shadow mantle directly, so I just internalized it as the shorter name of just calling it the mantle instead of mantle holder, but yeah, it is technically a separate entity that just holds the mantle. Potentially important details in chapters 3 and 4 of Deltarune. This one was by far my longest video, so quite a few mistakes, and obviously, I'll be talking about spoilers of Deltarune. The big thing with this video is that there were quite a few details that I forgot, but I did know them and had them in the video, I just left them out intentionally for the sake of pacing. Like the theory that not all monsters in Deltarune bleed, and Susie is just a special case because she's potentially half human. That's something I don't believe, and it clashes with the idea of Sans being from Deltarune, which is far more interesting to me, and ultimately it would have derailed the video for longer than I would have liked, so I cut it. A lot of early discussion I saw about this said it was a guitar pick because it's a triangle in a desk-related room, I guess. One thing I should have cut but didn't is my certainty that the dark triangle in this room isn't a guitar pick. I've kind of relapsed into, it could be. Something many comments pointed out is that the specific description of the triangle feeling like lacquer is why people think it's a guitar pick. Now, originally I did mention this, however I talked about how lacquer in relation to guitars seems to usually just be used as a clear coating slash finish on the guitar itself, and so it's not actually the material anything is made out of, and it's not related to guitar picks specifically, so it just made it a confusing mess that I decided to cut. However, after much insistence from people in the comments, I've found that you can actually coat guitar picks in lacquer as well, it just doesn't seem to be that common. Though ultimately, I've realized none of that should matter because clearly the whole point of describing it as lacquer was to connect it to guitars, and whether it's a guitar pick or a shadow crystal doesn't matter, it's just one big bundle of connections between guitars, shadow crystals, and desks, and as I pointed out in that video, that isn't very helpful. The only thing I could think of as any possible explanation here is how there's only 6 of the 7 flying aces in Chapter 3's Egg Room, so maybe this is the 7th? In Chapter 3's Egg Rooms, there's only 6 of the 7 flying aces, and I said that the other one might be the one in town, but it could also more likely be the one in the Chapter 4 Egg Room. In that same vein, the 7 flying aces were originally black and white, but Chris colored them all. When they mentioned that all copies are monochrome, that doesn't necessarily mean grayscale. Monochrome is just one color. It could be all red and that would still be monochrome. Though I think this is something literally everyone forgets all of the time, so honestly I wouldn't be surprised if the intention of the line was still to say that the copies are grayscale, just in a fancier way. But saying, oh, the intention intention of the line was different than what it actually means is not a very good piece of evidence to rely on, though I think the connection between copies and the Gaster followers is strong enough even without this dialogue. The truth sung in glass, which, let's be fair, is there any other significant glass in the game? Idiot alert. The other significant glass is literally all of the glass in the dark world of Chapter 4. The ones that literally tell you the truth because they're telling you the prophecy, like, I don't know how I forgot about that. Though, I still think there could be some potential double meaning with it referring to shadow crystals, but it's probably just about the prophecy panels. The things that chase us in the dark a couple of times are Titan spawns, which is weird because the Titan doesn't exist yet. The Titan spawns check dialogue literally says they're born from extreme darkness, not from Titans, so that's why we are chased by Titan spawns prior to the end of Chapter 4. Though it's still kinda weird why Ralse is confused at them spawning so early if they could have already been spawning this whole time. And the queen is presumably queen, but save? We didn't save her at all. In Gerson's description of Chapter 2 of Lord of the Hammer, saving the queen was something I couldn't really figure out a good explanation for, but many people have pointed out it could just be that we saved Queen from destroying herself with the roaring. I mean, the roaring would destroy all darkners, and Queen was trying to create the roaring, so we did save her from herself. And yeah, that's probably correct. No notes there. It doesn't really change the fact that the other descriptions of the chapters seem to be more and more about optional content, so I'm okay with there being an actual explanation for what saving the queen was. And there's a lot of small things I could mention just because I love talking about all the details in Deltarune, but those were the big ones I saw the most. And thus ends this year of mediocrity. I hope you enjoyed me finally acknowledging all of the mistakes I've done, ignoring all the ones from before this year, and be sure to leave your least favorite KazooCat moments down in the comment section below. Booyah!